morning, everyone. It is 5 a.m. on this beautiful, brisk Friday morning, and we are headed west towards Santa Cruz Island. We have my mom, my dad, and my brother aboard this weekend for their very first real sailing adventure, so I could not be more excited. My mom is still asleep in the quarter berth with Cleo cuddled next to her, which is why I'm trying to be quiet, and my dad and my brother joined Chris up in the cockpit. I had to come back down below to grab a beanie because it was getting a bit cold up top, so I'm gonna head back out there in one moment. This weekend, our friends Alan and Elizabeth are also joining us aboard their beautiful boat, Howell, which is a brand new Beneteau 51.
Good morning. Good to see you guys. Glad you guys can make it home. We getting close, family?
Getting close.
Almost there. It's time for breakfast.
Our first destination was Prisoner's Anchorage, one of the most favored anchorages around Santa Cruz Island due to the accessibility and views. The weather was perfect for hiking, so without hesitation I led the way to the Pelican Bay Trail, a 4-mile trail that starts on the Nature Conservancy land and leads to Pelican Bay. Prisoner's Anchorage has a very interesting history leading to its rightful name. In February of 1830, the U.S. brig Maria Esther discharged 40 or so convicted criminals on Santa Cruz Island after their initial request to discharge in Santa Barbara was denied. The fate of these prisoners is still unclear. Although Santa Cruz Island has been considered a potential prison a handful of other times, nothing has ever come of the idea, and today only the name reminds us of the bizarre events that happened over 180 years ago. In the early 1800s, Santa Cruz Island was owned by William Barron. He built corrals and houses for himself and staff, and built one of the earliest wharves along the California coast at Prisoners Harbor, which is still used today. In 1869, Barron sold the island for $150,000 to 10 investors, one of which being Justinian Care.
Hi. I'm gonna tow. See how well this works.
My brother loves fishing more than anything, so he was definitely excited to be spending a whole weekend aboard surrounded by some of the best fishing in California. His line was in the water every chance he had, and he even inspired Chris to give it a try.
Christian, oh my God! Christian! What the hell is this thing? What is that? I don't know! That's a sea bass. You're the fish person? Oh! Here, don't, no, you're gonna break that. You're gonna break that. Don't break that. The reel is not reeling in anymore. Thing's big! Oh, this might be a keeper. Thing's huge! I caught that. Here. I don't want to touch it. Okay.
After fishing, we cleaned up and dinghied over to Howell for dinner. We enjoyed the sunset while talking about our plans for the following day. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
What's the plan?
Well, the plan is there's a pretty strong northwest wind coming in. That's why we're already getting rocking and rolling here, because this anchorage is not protected to the northwest winds. So we're picking up anchor and we're gonna head over to Smuggler's Cove. And there we should be very protected and just hang out. anchorage.
Our comfort zone.
Our comfort zone. We hit the wind line and it's blowing a apparent 15, gusting to the 20s, and we're doing a 7.7 knots, sometimes into 8. With one reef in the main, full Genoa. Kicking some butt. This is fun sailing. We all have our coffee. We're all excited. We're all awake now.
Good beer.
Mom's still downstairs. I don't know how to do it. After a cold morning sail, we were surprised with warm, sunny skies and Yellowbank's anchorage. The anchorage just next to Smuggler's Cove.
How's it going?
Good.
Do you like the hammock?
Yes.
But
It needs to stop swinging.
Didn't take long for Marissa and I to suit up and jump in the warm water, making good use of Howell's swim step.
One big kick. I bet you can do it. Just like a little sea lion. I got the opening scene for the next movie.
Little did we know, our perfect day would turn into one of the most intense nights aboard Avocet yet.
I'll phrase this for the internet. Crap went down, crap went wrong, crap got fixed, crap got better, and guess what? It's all been wonderful. Absolutely perfect. It's been absolutely fun.
well, in the words of Captain Ron,
Anything's gonna happen. It's gonna happen up there.
And it did.
It did.
There it is.
It did.
What happened?
The guy behind us is being a real fun one. He came in earlier today and he almost dropped his hook right on top of ours. So I went over there, I'm like, hey, what's going on? We have 200 feet of chain out and you pretty much put it on top of ours. He's like, well, how do you even know you had 200 feet of chain out? I'm like, well, we use zip ties to mark our chain every 20 feet. It's like, oh, well, I've never heard of that before. Okay, so I was like, well, you're pretty close. Please watch out for us. And then like a few hours ago, we went over to our friend's boat and I looked over at our boat and it looked like we were dragging. Didn't end up that we were dragging, it's that our bridle snapped clean off. We have 3-strand rope and it literally just snapped right off. So it went over the gypsy and then the chain was skipping over the gypsy. So it kind of looked like we were dragging, but it was just the chain going over the gypsy. And Marissa and I came back on a dinghy flying back over. And as soon as we got back to the boat, the guy came on top of his on his trampoline and he's like, hey, try to fix it with some zip ties, and was just being a real jerk about it. I was like, whatever, I don't care. So we fixed it, went back, had dinner, came back just now, and I was putting stuff away, and the same guy comes up to the trampoline, and he literally asked, I didn't hear him at first because it's blowing 35 knots, but he asked Christian, he's like, do you have any cheesecake? And I asked him 3 times, and then the last time I'm like, are you f***ing serious? You want cheesecake? And then he just walked away and went away. But what a guy. I can't, yeah.
Can't make this up.
I can't make this up.
Due to the situation, we didn't keep the cameras rolling since our minds and our hands were a bit preoccupied.
Unfortunately, we didn't have a spare chain hook or bridle aboard Avocet, so thinking quickly, I thought about using our Dyneema bracelets that I had made from scraps of an old project.
Using our Dyneema bracelets, we were able to secure the chain.
And for those of you that don't know, this Dyneema right here has a breaking strength of about 13,000 pounds. So our only worry was chafe. Looking back on it now, I could have tied a rolling hitch, but hindsight is 20/20, and at least we learned from the situation.
To calm down my family, we decided it was best to put up the projector and play our go-to movie, Captain Ron, just for a little lighthearted humor and to show that it could always be worse.
Not going to sink!
In the middle of the movie, my mom was looking out the port lights and noticed that there was a fishing boat circling us, and they were getting closer and closer and closer. At first, we thought that they were pulling crab pots, but it was making us uncomfortable, so Chris eventually hailed them on the radio to figure out what was going on.
Put some power into our beam.
As it turned out, they lost their anchor and didn't have a spare. In 40-knot winds and a decent swell, they were not in a good situation. Luckily, we weren't using our stern hook and were able to lend them the anchor as well as 300 feet of road.
Sailing vessel gone. Save me later. Some of you guys are okay tonight. You think that rope's gonna hold? You got it. Fucking strong. Good. Jesus, that's neutral.
So close.
Alright guys, you got the note?
After we rendezvoused for a pass-off, they anchored far away from us, and we wished them the best of luck.
My family slept through the night while Chris and I took turns waking up and checking navionics to make sure we weren't dragging. We also checked on our temporary anchor fix to make sure that everything was secure up there. Luckily it was, so good on us. By sunup we were ready to pull anchor and head home. Before we left, Chris did hail our fisherman friends and make sure we had a game plan to meet up when we were all home safe and sound so we could get our stern hook back.
We're pulling anchor pretty soon here, and we're gonna get the hell out of here. So we still have these lobster pots in the water, so let's just plan on one of these guys lives down in LA, so he could It was a long sail home with 35 knots of wind. We were more than confident in Avocet, but the one thing that we were scared of was our fatty knees on the davits.
Because we knew that it would only take one wave to crash into our dream boat, rip it from our transom, and our hopes and dreams going along with it. We love that boat.
Luckily, we made it back to harbor safe and sound.
Ahoy! Chips ahoy! I want a cookie.
Since getting home, I've already spliced 3 new bridles, 2 for regular use, and I also did 1 redundancy made out of Dyneema, so that way we have a lot of options as well as buying like 4 new chain hooks. As always, thank you for watching our videos. We appreciate your kind words and all your support.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram to stay up to date with our latest adventures and whereabouts. An honorable mention that didn't make it on camera was when Chris and I came back from our boat on the dinghy to Howell. I stepped off the boat thinking Elizabeth had the painter, Chris stepped off the boat thinking I had the painter, and the dinghy decided to fly away from us in 35-knot winds. And without hesitation, Chris took his hat off, took his shirt off, jumped in the water to swim after it. And for those of you who don't know Chris, you would probably be scared for his life, just like Alan and Elizabeth were. But luckily, my dad was aboard to reassure them that this is not the first time Chris saved the day, or has done something so heroic and kind of stupid. Luckily, he was able to swim out to the dinghy, jump inside, bring it back to the boat, and tie it off securely before stepping off this time. And of course, a drink was handed to him promptly. Thank God that outboard
If I
started.
got all the way out there and it would start, I would have gone back to the mainland.
You would have made it all the way to Anacapa. For more details and stories that didn't make it in the vlog, be sure to check out our website, svavocet.com, which includes all of the details from the trip as well as some photos. So yeah,